Hey rockers, welcome back, man. I have thought about doing a video all day and I decided upon a band that we all love called Motorhead. Yeah, there's other stories on my channel about Motorhead, but I've got one that I thought about tonight from Chicago, and I thought let's go back in time to the year 1999. Let's go party like it's 1999. Haha, cheesy joke. Listen, man, Motorhead's one of the loudest bands in the world, and I think when I saw them on this particular occasion, they actually were officially, according to the Guinness Book of World Records, the loudest band in the world. Proved me wrong. I know previously The Who and I think Deep Purple had that glorious title of being the loudest band in the world. But Motorhead, man, face it, I've seen them at least a dozen times, and they are definitely the kind of band that leaves your ears ringing at the end of the night, and this night was no exception at the House of Blues on October 16th, 1999, man. It was a great gig. Some friends of mine and Sister Tracy headed up from Peoria, Illinois. It's about a 2.5-hour drive north to Chicago to the House of Blues. And the opening act was, of course, from Atlanta, Georgia, Nashville Puss, another one of those letters and a Y. Look, man, I don't need to get demonetized any more than they take away money from us YouTube creators for saying bad words. But Nashville, it rhymes with wussy. What a sellout. Anyway, Motorhead, consisting of Lemmy on the bass and vocals on this particular gig. Phil Campbell was on guitar. Mickey D playing the drums. Of course, Motorhead forming in England in 1975 by the great Lemmy Kilmister, with Larry Wallace and Lucas Fox, the original drummer. Been a big Motorhead fan since the early days. Love them, love them, love them. When we got to the House of Blues, the first thing I kept thinking was, man, I got to meet Lemmy tonight, because I had never met Lemmy. And didn't know what my chances were, but I figured I'm going to roll the dice and give it my best. So we ended up having not real good seats. We weren't like right down in front of the stage or anything like that. We kind of had to watch from the upper area. But we were hanging out in the upstairs bar. Everyone was having a drink and getting relaxed and getting excited to hear the legendary Motorhead. And, you know, it was just the electricity in the air at a Motorhead show is different. When Lemmy's in the house, the house is on fire. You know what I'm saying? And everyone was excited. The people I was with, they were excited about seeing the opening act. I had never seen those guys and the girls, but I wasn't let down. I can tell you that. It was one hell of a rock and roll show for sure. If you've ever seen that band, you know they deliver. Crazy stuff, man. What happened was we got there, started having, getting relaxed, thinking, man, the show's going to start any time now. And all of a sudden, I look up from where I'm sitting in about the middle of the bar, small little area, and there is Lemmy right next to me, kind of walking through, checking out to see who's there. And I look up, I go, hey, man, how's it going? He goes, hey, how are you? And wow, I met Lemmy. And before I could even really let it sink in, he kind of kept walking, and I wasn't really in one of those moods to just go, hey, Lemmy, let's chat. I wasn't ready to see him there, man. I literally turned around, and he was like in my face kind of thing, walking by just enough to say hello. And it was crazy, man. So I did technically get to meet Lemmy face to face. The man wasn't as tall as I thought he was, but he was definitely the legend, very tall in my eyes, as far as stature of being a legend. Of course, the band Nashville Not Wussy, those guys were awesome, and those girls. Blaine Cartwright was with the band, of course. He's the guy that started the band with his wife, Ryder Size. They both play guitar. Blaine does the vocals, and his wife, let me tell you, she is the star of that band. She's absolutely phenomenal. She puts on one hell of a rock and roll show. That band is full of piss and vinegar, man. Let me tell you something, man. And that night they had the great Karen Kuda on the bass guitar, and Jeremy Thompson, of course, on the drums. The album they were touring under, I thought I made a note about that. Maybe I did not write down the name of the tour that they were on at that time. Doesn't really matter, as Motorhead is the real kind of subject of the video. But I want to say that almost all the songs by Nashville Not Wussy consist of songs about sex, drinking, fighting, and rock and roll. In other words, pretty fun stuff. Man, man, I tell you what, when those guys went on stage and those girls, they were something else. The first thing the guitar player did, right her size, is awesome. She comes out wearing like the sports bra that's got like a leopard print, leather pants with stars up and down the sides. She spits beer all over the crowd like a couple times, big swigs of beer, and just spits it all over the crowd. And we were like, whoa. At one point, I saw her kick a cameraman right in the face, like right in the camera. That had to hurt. She was like she kind of reminded me of like a female Angus Young from AC/DC. And of course, the band ended up doing Bad Boy Boogie that night. So I was right when I thought she kind of reminds me of Angus. She doesn't stop moving around. She's super energetic. She's kind of mean, which I think a lot of the dudes probably like. I don't know why some guys are just sick like that. But man, this chick can rock, man. Her hair was in her face and she's just completely falling on her knees and doing back bends and just gyrating on the guitar and trading off licks with her husband. It was crazy cool. And then, of course, the bass player, Karen Kuda, when she was playing, her hair was real super long and blonde and thick. And about quarter of the way through the set, it was just soaking wet. You couldn't even tell what color her hair was because it just was dripping with sweat. This is one band that puts out a lot of energy, man. I don't have the set list from that band that night, but they had these big Confederate flags behind them. And let me tell you something. At one point, Blaine Cartwright, that is his name, right? Yeah, he said to the audience, if you're not a Yankee, or if you're a Yankee, you can leave the room. And he was like super, confrontational and kind of mean, but it was hilarious because these people are full-blown Southern rock and roll for sure, man. She was spitting beer all over the people. I made these notes, sorry, I'm kind of referring to them. But he did say, y'all, all you Yankees can leave the room. And they did a song called Go to Hell, which was really cool. They also, just about 3/4 of the way through the show, they were trading off these guitar licks, and it was like a super long drum and bass, in the background, but it was all guitar oriented. I mean, this solo they did went on for seemingly 10 minutes, and it was pretty damn cool. The guitar dominates this band, big time, man. I gotta say, at the end of the show, it was insane. I've never seen an ending like this, and I kept thinking, these people are definitely remembering that they're opening for Motorhead, and they're going to deliver. And I could see why Lemmy and those guys wanted this band to open, because, man, how cathartic. When they were done playing, we were just like, woo! That was intense. I mean, her guitar strings were all broken. There was a fire coming up out of the stage at one point. She jumped on it and threw part of it off the stage. The Blaine Cartwright's up on the drum riser. They're trading off licks. It was just really intense, man. Very lewd and lascivious, and I liked it. So that was a great set by Nashville, not Wussy. Okay, should I just say the word pussy? All right, whatever. Anyway, if I get demonetized, I'm going to be mad at myself. I just feel like such a sellout, man. Screw that. I hate censorship. Motorhead. Awesome performance by the three-piece lineup known as Motorhead. As you can see, I've got my classic Motorhead Ace of Spades, very limited edition red vinyl EP of the Ace of Spades, celebrating the 40th anniversary of this outlaw anthem. What a great, great record this is, guys. Check this out, man. If you're a Motorhead fan, it's pretty cool. And it's got like the guys all signed it on the front and all that good stuff. Yeah, this is something I ended up getting from a friend of mine, and it's pretty damn cool, man. I just love Motorhead. And there's my little Lemmy guy. Yeah, so check it out, man. I do have the actual set list from the Motorhead show that evening at the House of Blues. I was still buzzing from having run into Lemmy, and I decided that after the show, I was going backstage. And I'll tell you what happened after I tell you about the set. First of all, Lemmy walks out on stage with the band and everyone goes nuts. The crowd is great. Everyone's super loud. We're expecting the greatest. And of course, it was not a letdown. Lemmy comes out and says, "We are Motorhead, boys and girls, and we are going to kick your ass." And that's how the show started. And they kicked off the show with a classic Motorhead tune, Bomber, which of course originally featured Fast Eddie Clarke on guitar and Filthy Animal on drums. Rest in peace to those legends, and to Lemmy too. Bomber was killer, of course. Then they did Over Your Shoulder, and then the great No Class. God, what a classic. They did I'm So Bad, Baby, I Don't Care after that. Then they did Civil War, great tune, and another classic Motorhead tune, Metropolis. Who doesn't love Metropolis, right? They did Take the Blame, great tune by Motorhead. And then before they did a song called Nothing Up My Sleeve, that's when Lemmy announced, "We are the loudest band in the world officially now," something like that. And they proved it that night. They were loud. And at one point, Phil Campbell was taunting the audience, and he said, "You want me to turn it up louder, eh? Should we turn it up louder? You reckon?" is what he said. "You reckon we should turn it up louder?" And everyone's like, "Yeah." And he actually instructed the dudes to turn it up louder even. It was crazy cool. The real deal Motorhead, man, you know. I don't really know many people that don't like them. There are some that don't. They'll say, "I can't take Lemmy's voice," but I digress. I love his voice. They did Overnight Sensation, which was killer. Before that one, he said something about, if you don't like it, you can leave. Basically, there was somebody in the audience was being a jerk and saying something negative. And Lemmy said, "If you don't like it, guy, you can hit the door. This is a democracy," they say. And then it was funny because he was being very sarcastic. After they did Overnight Sensation, they did Dead Men Tell No Tales. What a killer tune by Motorhead. Born to Raise Hell was next. They went into the song Sacrifice. And then title track from the Orgasmatron album, Orgasmatron, which of course is an amazing album. Great song. Going to Brazil was next on the list. And then the title track from one of my very favorite Motorhead albums, Iron Fist. I thought I was going to lose it because Iron Fist really absolutely is one of the greatest records. It's probably one of the closest records to being punk rock. If you had to put one record in the punk rock category in the Motorhead library, to me, it would be Iron Fist. I mean, you can't beat songs like Go to Hell and Don't Need Religion and Bang to Rights. I just could go on and on about that album. Iron Fist for days. They did an encore, of course, after Iron Fist. They did Killed by Death. What a great live track, man. Lemmy's bass, let me tell you, during the show, Lemmy's bass was sounding just so dialed in. It was super loud, definitely as loud, if not louder, than the lead guitar, and that was just killer because there's not many bands. You know, let's not, discount Les, Claypool from Primus and a couple guys, but there's not many bands that were like Motorhead. I mean, Lemmy was just like a force to be reckoned with, man. The real deal. And from what I gather, a really good guy with morals, even though he collected some questionable things that people give him crap about. Doesn't matter. He was a great dude. And you know what? Lemmy for the win. Lemmy for president if he was still alive. Ace of Spades was the song they did for their encore, which I got to see the band in 1980 on that tour when they opened for Ozzy in the Blizzard of Oz with Randy Rhoads. That video is on my channel, by the way. And please, before I finish my story, please consider subscribing to this channel and do a rocker a favor, man, huh? I got all these little side hustles, and this is one of them, and I need your help if you're into rock and roll. Just simply subscribe for me. Give the video a like. Leave a comment if you want, and share, please. Appreciate you guys. The last song they did for the encore, another classic Motorhead tune, title track from the Overkill album. They did the song Overkill. Great ending to a great concert, spectacular performance. I did notice there were some weird drum issues that night during, I believe, they did The Chase is Better Than the Catch, but I don't remember where it was on the set list, so I made a note. But when they did that, before they did The Chase is Better Than the Catch, and before Mickey D had some kind of weird issue with the beat, Lemmy went into a big rant about not getting laid in Chicago and about how he never gets laid in Chicago or something like that. And he goes, "No one here is going to give me sex except maybe the owner of the place." And I think it's a dude that owned the place. I think he was joking. But anyway, I remember that was a funny thing that happened. Motorhead ruled. They were great. And then afterwards, people started filing out. We decided to file downstairs to go over to the backstage area and see what we had to do to weasel our way back to meet the band. Piece of cake, right? Usually it's not that hard. Usually the way I dress and when I go to shows, people think I'm either with the band or something like that, or with another band, or that I'm somebody with a promotions company, and I can usually weasel my way back by talking about my radio credentials. Hey man, I'm in radio, bro. So I go backstage and voila, I know the girl that's standing right there at the entrance to where you go backstage, and her name is Aida. Rest in peace to Aida. She was actually a former dancer at some of the Veins shows when I was in a band, Bloody in the Veins. That same year in 1999, I think it was June, July, or August, we did a CD release party, album release party at the Madison Theater in Peoria, Illinois, and Aida was on stage whipping me, and she was dressed all in her like leather S&M gear and stuff like that, and it was pretty intense. She was a really good friend and the girlfriend of the late Gary Fortner from Kenosha, Wisconsin. Aida was cool as hell, a total rocker, and loved to party, man, big time. And she was standing at the entrance to the backstage. I thought, I'm in. So I said, Aida, you got a backstage pass. Can you go back and somehow get me one? And she said, Bloody, yeah. Tracy, yeah, come, I can get you guys back. Hang on a minute, man. She goes backstage and we're like, woo-hoo-hoo. And about 10 minutes later, Aida comes sauntering back up and she says, well, I got good news and bad news. And we're like, we're going backstage? She goes, well, Tracy can, but you can't. I go, what the hell? She says, Lemmy has a rule. No dudes backstage. I'm like, wow. Now, I wasn't mad at Lemmy. I do understand that because coming from a band that one time, my own band, coming from a band where one time my guitar player got mad at me and said, yeah, all your shows are sausage fests. Meaning no chicks come to your shows. I was like, wow, bro, really? Sexist much? You prick. Anyway, Lemmy had a rule that said you couldn't go backstage unless you were a girl, and that was that. And well, Tracy wanted to go backstage, but the people we were with, I won't name their names, I don't want to make anyone mad or be embarrassed, but they said, well, we want to go. And to this day, Tracy's still kind of PO'd about that one, because if they would have just said, okay, we'll wait a little bit, she could have just went back and met Lemmy and the boys, and at least I could have lived vicariously through Tracy, but woe is us. And that does wrap up my tale about meeting Lemmy, slightly, kinda, for a minute, and seeing this great show at the House of Blues in Chicago on October the 16th. So I was wrong. Aida performed with us in August at the Madison Theater, a little bit before this, a couple months. Thank you guys for watching this and putting up with me. Happy holidays. I hope you guys all have a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate. If you don't celebrate at all, that's cool, whatever you're into. I respect all belief systems, that is for sure. Thanks for coming to Bloody F Mess Official. Please subscribe once again, and I'll be back as soon as I can. I promise. Rock and roll, my friends, and keep it real, man. Cheers.